The meeting room was quiet except for the soft hum of the air recycling system. Commander Zixthera sat at the metal table, his large body barely fitting in the chair made for smaller beings. His shell was dark green with brown spots, and old. Battle scars covered his arms and chest. 2 rows of eyes looked across the table at the 3 humans sitting there. Ambassador Kate Morrison, a woman with gray hair tied back in a neat style. She had been talking to aliens for 20 years, but she still felt nervous around the Zephyrian commander. Next to her sat General Rick Thompson, a big man with short white hair and serious eyes. The 3rd human was Dr. Lisa Grant, a woman who studied how different species think and act. For 6 months, they had been meeting like this. The war was over, and both sides were trying to make peace that would last. But Zixthera almost never talked. He would answer questions with short words like yes or no, or maybe. When they asked about battles, he would give facts, but nothing more. The humans were getting frustrated. Commander Kate said, trying again, "We need to understand what happened during the war. Our people need to know why the fighting was so hard. Your people were stronger than us. You had better ships and more soldiers. But something changed. We need to know what." Zixthera's eyes moved to look at each human. He had been thinking about this moment for weeks. His people back home did not understand why the war ended the way it did. They thought their leaders had made a mistake. They wanted to fight again someday. But Zixthera knew better. He had seen things that his people needed to hear about. "You want to know about the war?" he said. His voice came through a small machine that turned his clicking sounds into human words. "You want to know why we asked for peace when we were winning? When we had more ships than you, when our weapons were better than yours, when victory was so close we could taste it." The 3 humans leaned forward. This was more than Zixthera had said in all their meetings combined. "I will tell you," he continued, "but I do not speak for you. Speak for my own people. They need to understand what we really fought against. They think we fought humans. They are wrong." Dr. Grant put down her writing pad.
What do you mean?"
"Commander?" Zixthera was quiet for a long moment. His eyes seemed to be looking at something far away. "When this war started, we knew everything about you. We had watched your species for 50 years. We knew how many ships you had. We knew what weapons you used. We knew which planets were important to you. We thought we knew how you would fight." General Thompson crossed his arms. "And how did you think we would fight, like everyone else?" Zixthera said simply, "When a species faces a stronger enemy, they try to save their lives. They retreat when they cannot win. They surrender when retreat is not possible. They make deals to save what they can. This is how war works. This is how smart species survive." Kate nodded. "That makes sense." "Yes," Zixthera agreed. "It makes sense. But humans do not make sense." The room was very quiet now. Outside the windows, they could see other ships floating in space around the peace station. Ships from many different worlds all watching too. See if humans and Zephyrians could really stop fighting. "The first time I fought humans was at Kepler 442, Zixthera said. "I commanded the battlecruiser Stormwing. We had 12 ships. The humans had 4. Our ships were bigger and had better shields. Their ships were old and patched with metal from other vessels." He paused, remembering. "We sent them a message. We told them to leave or be destroyed. Gave them 1 hour to run away. Any smart enemy would have used that time to escape." "But we didn't run," General Thompson said. "No, you did not run. Instead, your ships moved closer to us. We could not understand this. We thought maybe your engines were broken. We waited to see what you would do." Zixthera's eyes focused on Dr. Grant. "Your species has a word, ramming, when one ship crashes into another ship on purpose. Before that day, I thought ramming was something that happened by accident, or maybe something that crazy people did when they lost their minds." The humans waited for him to continue. "Captain Peter Hayes was commanding your lead ship, the Defiant. Our weapons hit his vessel many times. His shields failed. His hull was breaking apart. Fire was spreading inside his ship. Any normal captain would have surrendered to save his crew." Zixthera stood up and walked to the window. His reflection looked back at him from the dark glass. Instead, Captain Hayes sent us a message. He said, "Thanks for standing still. This will be easier than I thought." Then he pointed his broken ship straight at my vessel and told his engines to go as fast as possible. Kate felt a chill run down her back. She had read reports about the battle, but hearing it from the enemy side was different. We tried to move away, but we were too close. Defiant hit us just behind the main bridge. Both ships exploded. I was thrown across my command room and broke 3 ribs. Half my crew died in that moment. Zixthera turned back to face the humans. But that was not the strange part. The strange part was the sound we heard just before the crash. Your crew was cheering. They were happy to die if it meant killing us too. General Thompson was quiet for a moment. Peter was a good officer, a good man. Yes, Zixthera said. But do you understand what this meant to us? We had never seen anything like it. In 300 years of war, no enemy had ever been happy to die. We thought Captain Hayes must have been crazy. We thought his crew had lost their minds from fear. Commander sat back down. So we looked at the records from the battle. We listened to the communications between human ships. We wanted to understand this craziness. And what did you find? Dr. Grant asked. Found that Captain Hayes asked his crew if they wanted to ram our ship. He did not order them to do it. Asked them to choose. And every single person on that ship said, yes, immediately. The youngest sailor was 19 years old. He could have said no. He could have asked to surrender. Instead, he asked if he could help aim the ship. Zixthera looked at each human again. That was when we started to realize that we did not understand. Your species at all? We thought we were fighting soldiers. But soldiers follow orders because they have to. Your people were doing something else. They were choosing to fight in ways that made no sense. The room fell silent again. The humans were thinking about Peter Hayes and his crew, people who had died 3 years ago in a battle far from home. This was only the beginning, Zixthera said quietly. What we saw at Kepler 442 happened again and again. Every battle was the same. Every fight brought new surprises. And slowly, we began to understand that we were not fighting human soldiers. We were fighting something much more dangerous. What do you mean? Kate asked. Zixthera's eyes seemed to shine in the room's soft light. We were fighting humans who had decided to stay human no matter what. Zixthera moved back to his chair and sat down slowly. His shell made small clicking sounds against the metal seat. The 3 humans watched him carefully. They could see that talking about the war was not easy for him. After Kepler 442, our leaders thought the ramming attack was just bad luck, he continued. They said Captain Hayes was probably crazy. They said his crew was too scared to think clearly. Our commanders told us that humans would fight normally in the next battle. Dr. Grant picked up her writing pad again, but they were wrong. Very wrong, Zixthera agreed. The next fight was at Vega Station. We brought 20 ships this time. The humans had 8. We surrounded them completely. There was no way for them to escape. We sent a message telling them to surrender. The commander paused and looked out the window again. A small human cargo ship was floating past the station. It reminded him of the ships he had fought against. The human commander was Captain Nancy Brooks. She sent back a message that said, "We got your note. Thanks, but we're busy right now. Try again later." Then she did something that no military leaders should ever do. General Thompson leaned forward. What did she do? She split her 8 ships into 4 groups. Each group had only 2 ships. Then she sent them in 4 different directions to attack us. Kate looked confused. That doesn't sound like a good plan. It was a terrible plan, Zixthera said. Any military school would teach that dividing your forces when you are outnumbered is the worst thing you can do. Captain Brooks took her small fleet and made it even smaller. Should have destroyed all of them, easily. The alien commander stood up again and began walking slowly around the room. His heavy footsteps made soft sounds on the metal floor. But Captain Brooks was not trying to win the battle. She was trying to do something else. Something we did not understand at first. What was she trying to do? Dr. Grant asked. She was trying to make us afraid. General Thompson almost laughed. 8 ships against 20! How could that make you afraid? Zixthera stopped walking and looked at the general. Because those 8 ships fought like they were 80 ships. Each group of 2 attacked like they had no fear of death.
Oh, wait.
They flew straight at our biggest vessels. They ignored our smaller ships completely. They only wanted to fight our most important targets. The commander sat back down and put his large hands on the table. The first group attacked our command ship. Both human vessels were destroyed, but they damaged our communications badly. The second group hit our supply ship. They blew up all our extra ammunition and fuel. The third group attacked our repair vessel. The fourth group went after our troop. Transport. Kate was starting to understand. They weren't trying to win. They were trying to hurt you as much as possible before they died. Exactly, and they succeeded. We won the battle, but we lost more than half our supplies. Our command systems were broken. Many of our ships needed repairs that we could not make. Captain Brooks and her crews were all dead, but they had hurt us badly. Zixthara was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was softer. That night, our young soldiers started asking questions. They wanted to know why the humans fought so strangely. They asked why humans would choose certain death when they could surrender and live. Our officers did not have good answers. Dr. Grant made notes on her pad. What did your officers tell them? They said humans were stupid. They said humans did not understand war. They said humans were too proud to surrender. But our young soldiers were smart. They knew that stupid people do not build spaceships. They knew that people who do not understand war do not fight so well. The alien commander looked at each human in turn. Out. After Vega Station, our leaders changed their plans. They decided to use different tactics against humans. They thought maybe humans only fought strangely when they were outnumbered. General Thompson crossed his arms. So you brought more ships to the next battle. Much more. Wolf, 359. We brought 60 ships. The humans had 12. We thought that with so many ships, the humans would have to surrender. No sane species would fight against such bad odds. Kate already knew what was coming, but humans did fight. They did more than fight. They did something that broke all the rules of space warfare. Commander Jake Collins was leading the human fleet. When he saw our 60 ships, he did not try to run. He did not ask to surrender. Instead, he sent a message to all human ships that said, well, this should be interesting. Let's see how many we can take with us. Zixthara stood up and walked to a different window. This one showed the planet below the station. It was a blue and green world with white clouds, much like Earth. Commander Collins divided his 12 ships into 6 pairs. But instead of attacking our big ships like Captain Brooks had done, he did something new. Each pair of human ships picked one of our vessels and decided to follow it no matter what. Alien Commander turned back to face the humans. They hunted us. 60 ships running away from 12 ships. It was madness. Double quotes. Dr. Grant looked up from her notes. How can 12 ships chase 60 ships? Because the human ships would not give up. When we tried to escape, they followed us. When we turned to fight, they fought harder than we did. We damaged their ships. They kept attacking anyway. You could not understand their thinking. Zixthara sat down again. One human ship, the Ranger, was hit by our weapons so many times that it was barely flying. The hull was cracked open. The engines were failing. Half the crew was dead. But Captain Bob Wilson kept attacking our cruiser Steelclaw. General Thompson knew this story. Wilson was a good man. He saved a lot of lives in that battle. Wilson's ship was dying, but he would not stop fighting.
Ow.
Our captain tried to contact him. He offered to let Captain Wilson surrender. He promised that the wounded humans would receive medical care. The room was very quiet. Kate could hear her own heartbeat. Captain Wilson sent back a message that our translator had trouble with. He said, "Thanks for the offer, but I'm not done working yet." Then his ship, which should have been dead in space, somehow moved faster than before and rammed our cruiser. Zixthara's eyes seemed to be looking at something the humans could not see. Both ships exploded. But just before the crash, we heard something on the radio. Captain Wilson was singing. Singing? Dr. Grant asked. A human song. Something about going home. His crew was singing with him. They were dying, and they were singing about going home. The alien commander was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was very soft. That was the moment I started to understand. You do not fight like other species because you are not like other species. Other species fight to win. Their species fight to survive. But humans fight to stay human. Kate felt tears starting in her eyes. What do you mean? I mean that even when you are dying, even when you cannot win, you still do the things that make you human. You still care about each other. You still sing songs. You still make jokes. You still choose to be who you are instead of becoming what war wants you to be. Zixthera looked at all three humans. After Wolf 359, our commanders finally understood that we were not fighting a normal enemy. We were fighting something much more dangerous than soldiers or weapons or ships. We were fighting the human spirit, and that was something we had never learned how to defeat. Zixthera got up from his chair and walked to the food machine in the corner of the room. He pressed some buttons, and a cup of blue liquid came out. He drank it slowly before sitting back down. The humans waited patiently. They could see that. The next part of his story was going to be difficult to tell. The real change in my thinking happened during the siege of New Terra, he finally said. This was your most important colony world. 2 million humans lived there. The planet had factories that made ships and weapons. It was the heart of your military strength in that part of space. Kate knew about New Terra. Every human knew about New Terra. We brought our biggest fleet, Zixthera continued. 300 ships surrounded the planet. We cut off all the roads in space that led to other worlds. No supplies could get in, no messages could get out. The humans on New Terra were completely alone. Dr. Grant stopped writing and looked up. How long did the siege last? 3 months and 12 days, Zixthera said immediately. I remember exactly because those were the longest days of my military career. The alien commander rubbed his large hands together. It was something he did when he was thinking about difficult memories. Our plan was simple. We would offer the humans good terms for surrender. When they were hungry enough and scared enough, they would accept. No world can survive when it is cut off from all help. This is basic military thinking. General Thompson nodded. It usually works. Yes, it should have worked. We sent a message to Governor Ben Murphy. We told him that if the humans surrendered, we would move all civilians to safe worlds. We promised that no one would be hurt. We gave them time to think about our offer. Zixthera stood up again and began his slow walk around the room. Governor. Murphy sent back a message very quickly. It was only one sentence. He said, we appreciate the offer, but we will have to decline. We have got work to do. Kate almost smiled. That sounded like something a human would say. We thought Governor Murphy did not understand how serious the situation was, so we sent another message. We explained that we had 300 ships. We told him that New Terra had no way to get help from other human worlds. He said that fighting would only cause suffering for his people. The alien commander stopped at the window and looked out at the stars. Governor Murphy sent back another message. This one was even shorter. He said, thanks for the information. We're still busy. Dr. Grant shook her head. What kind of work? Could be so important? That is exactly what we wanted to know. So we used our spy equipment to watch the planet. We thought maybe the humans were building secret weapons. Or maybe they were trying to send messages to other worlds for help. Zixthera turned back to face the humans. What we saw made no sense at all. What did you see? Kate asked. We saw humans living normal lives. Children were going to school. Every day, people were going to work in the factories and offices. Families were having dinner together in the evenings. Old people were sitting in parks feeding small animals. The alien commander sat back down. This was not what we expected. When most species are under siege, they panic. They fight each other for food. They demand that their leaders surrender to save their lives. But humans on New Terra were acting like nothing was wrong. General Thompson leaned back in his chair. Maybe they were just trying to keep hope alive. No, Zixthera said firmly. It was not about hope. It was about something deeper. We watched more carefully and started to understand. The alien commander picked up his cup and drank the rest of the blue liquid. On the 15th day of the siege, there was a wedding. A young man named Chris Washington was marrying a woman named Mary Collins. The ceremony was held in a church that had been damaged by our warning shots. Kate felt her throat get tight. She had heard about the Washington wedding. The church roof was gone. The walls had holes in them. But 300 humans came to watch Chris and Mary get married. They wore their best clothes. They brought flowers. They sang songs. They celebrated like there was no war happening at all. Eyes seemed to glow in the soft light of the room. While the wedding was happening, our ships were flying overhead. Our weapons were pointed at the city. We could have destroyed that church in seconds, but the humans acted like we were not even there. Dr. Grant made more notes. Did this make you angry? First, yes. I thought the humans were making fun of us. We thought they were trying to show that they were not afraid. But then we realized something important. They were not doing it for us. They were doing it for themselves. The alien commander was quiet for a moment. Chris and Mary wanted to be married. So they got married. It was that simple. They did not care that there was a war. They did not care that enemy ships were in the sky. They had decided to have a wedding, so they had a wedding. Kate wiped her eyes. She did not want to cry in front of the alien, but the story was touching her heart. This was when I started to understand what Governor Murphy meant when he said they had work to do. The humans on New Terra were not preparing for war. They were not building weapons or digging bunkers. They were doing the work of being human. Zixtera stood up and walked to a different part of the room. We watched for more days. We saw children playing games in playgrounds while our fighters flew overhead. We saw people having picnics in parks. We saw teenagers going on dates and holding hands. General Thompson crossed his arms. That must have been frustrating for your commanders. Very frustrating. On the 20th day, our admiral decided to show the humans how serious we were. He ordered our ships to destroy one empty building in the city center. It was just a warning. No one was hurt. The alien commander's voice got softer. The next day, the humans cleaned up the pieces of the building. Then they planted flowers where the building used to be. They put up a sign that said, "Temporary Garden. Please enjoy." Dr. Grant looked up from her notes. They made a garden? They made a garden. Where we had tried to show our power, they made something beautiful. Where we had brought destruction, they brought life. Zixtera sat back down heavily. That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking about the garden, about the wedding, about the children playing games. I started to realize that we were not winning this siege at all. Kate leaned forward. What do you mean? I mean that the point of a siege is to break the enemy's will to fight. You surround them and wait for them to give up. But the humans on New Terra were not giving up because they were not really fighting us. The alien commander looked at each human. They were fighting to stay themselves. Every wedding, every school day, every picnic in the park was an act of war against what we were trying to do to them. General Thompson nodded slowly. We were fighting for the right to be human. Exactly. And that was a war we could never win. We could destroy your buildings. We could damage your ships. We could even kill your people. But we could not stop you from being human while you lived. Zixtera was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. On the 30th day of the siege, something happened that changed everything. A little human girl, maybe 6 years old, was playing near the fence around our landing zone. She saw one of our young soldiers standing guard. The room was completely silent now. The little girl walked up to the fence and held out a flower she had picked. She said something to our soldier. Our translator told us, she said, "This is for you." My mom says flowers make everyone feel better. Kate felt tears running down her face now. She did not try to stop them. Our soldier did not know what to do. No enemy had ever given him a gift before. He looked at the flower for a long time. Then he took it. Zixtera looked directly at Kate. That night, our soldier asked his commander why they were fighting people who gave flowers to their enemies. The commander did not have a good answer. The alien commander stood up one more time. That was the beginning of the end for us, not because of weapons or tactics or strategy, but because a little girl gave a flower to an enemy soldier and made him ask questions we could not answer. Zixtera walked back to his chair and sat down slowly. His large body seemed tired, as if telling his story was using up all his energy. The three humans could see that he was getting ready to tell them the most important part of what he had learned. The siege of New Terra ended on the 92nd day, he said quietly. but not the way anyone expected. We did not win by force. Humans did not surrender because they were hungry or afraid. Something else happened that changed everything. Dr. Grant put down her writing pad and looked at the alien commander. What happened? Our young soldiers started refusing to fight. General Thompson sat up straighter in his chair. They mutinied. Not exactly. They did not attack their officers or steal ships. They just stopped wanting to hurt humans. Every day, more of our soldiers would come to their commanders and ask why they were fighting people who made gardens and gave flowers to enemies. Zixthera picked up his empty cup and looked at it. Our officers tried to explain that humans were the enemy. They said that humans wanted to destroy our empire. They told our soldiers that war was necessary to protect our people. Kate leaned forward. Did that work? For a while, then our soldiers started asking different questions. They wanted to know why humans were dangerous if they spent their time having weddings and teaching children. They asked why we needed to conquer people who made art and music instead of building bigger weapons. The alien commander set his cup down on the table. On the 75th day of the siege, something happened that made our leaders very worried. A group of our youngest soldiers asked permission to visit the human city, not to fight or spy, but just to see what humans were really like. Dr. Grant picked up her pad again. Did you let them go? No. Our admiral said no immediately. He was afraid that the humans would capture our soldiers or turn them against us. But our soldiers kept asking. They said they needed to understand what they were fighting for. Zixthera stood up and began walking around the room again. This time his steps were slower and more thoughtful. The final battle of the war was not really a battle at all. It happened at Proxima Station, a small human outpost near the edge of your territory. We attacked with only 6 ships because we thought it would be easy to capture. General Thompson knew about Proxima Station. It was one of the last battles. Before the peace talks began, the station was defended by only 20 humans. They had no big weapons and no way to escape. Our ships surrounded the station and demanded surrender. The human commander was Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez. The alien commander stopped walking and looked out the window. Lieutenant Rodriguez sent us a message that said, "We cannot surrender. Right now, because we are in the middle of something important."
Oh.
Can you wait about an hour? Kate almost laughed despite the serious mood in the room. What were they doing that was so important? We did not know. We thought maybe they were destroying secret documents or trying to call for help. So we waited and watched to see what they would do. Zixthera turned back to face the humans. What they did was completely unexpected. Lieutenant Rodriguez and her crew spent their last hour alive programming the station's computers to play music throughout the entire facility. Dr. Grant looked confused. Music? Music? All kinds of human music, slow songs and fast songs. Old songs and new songs. Happy songs and sad songs. They filled the station's memory banks with thousands of pieces of human music. The alien commander sat back down. When the hour was over, Lieutenant Rodriguez sent us another message. She said, "Thank you for waiting. We are ready now. Please enjoy the music." General Thompson felt a knot forming in his stomach. What happened next? We captured the station easily. All 20 humans were killed in the fighting. But as we moved through the corridors, music was playing from every speaker. Beautiful human voices singing about love and hope and home. Zixthera's eyes seemed to be glowing again. Our soldiers walked through that station, listening to human music, and something changed in them forever. They started to understand that humans were not monsters or enemies. They were people who loved beauty and cared about each other. The room was very quiet. Kate could hear the soft sounds of the air system and the distant hum of the station's engines. That night, our youngest soldier, a warrior named Kickstall, came to me with tears in his eyes. He said he could not fight anymore because he finally understood what we were trying to destroy. Dr. Grant looked up from her notes. "Tell him." I told him that I understood too, because I did understand. After months of fighting humans, I had learned that we were not just fighting for territory or resources. We were fighting to stop humans from being human. And that was something that no army could do. Zixthera stood up one last time and walked to the center of the room. He looked at each human carefully. 3 days after Proxima Station, our high command called me back to the home world. They wanted to know why our soldiers were losing their will to fight. They thought maybe humans had some kind of mind control weapon. Kate shook her head. We don't have anything like that. I know. I told them that humans had something much more powerful than mind control. I told them that humans had the ability to stay themselves no matter what happened to them. The alien commander's voice got stronger. I explained to our leaders that we could destroy human ships and capture human worlds, but we could never make humans stop being human. And our own people were starting to see that being human was not a bad thing. General Thompson leaned back in his chair. So, you asked for peace. We asked for peace because we realized that this war could only end in 2 ways. Either we would have to kill every single human in the galaxy, or we would have to become the kind of people who could kill every single human in the galaxy. Zixthera looked directly at Kate. My people decided that we did not want to become that kind of people. We had seen what humans were like when they stayed true to themselves. We wanted to learn how to be true to ourselves, too. Dr. Grant was writing quickly now. And that's why you're here now? To learn from us? I am here because my people need to understand what really happened in this war. They think we lost because our weapons were not good enough, or our strategies were wrong. But that is not true. Alien Commander walked back to his chair and sat down. We lost because we were trying to change something that should never be changed. We were trying to make humans into something they were not. And in the process, we almost changed ourselves into something we did not want to be. Kate felt tears in her eyes again. What do you want now? I want my people to learn what the little girl with the flower taught our soldier. I want them to understand that some things are more important than winning wars. I want them to know that staying true to who you are is the most powerful thing any species can do. Zixthera looked at all 3 humans one more time. You did not defeat us with your ships or your weapons. You defeated us by showing us what it means to be truly alive. You stayed human when everything around you was trying to make you into something else. The alien commander stood up and walked toward the door. Before he left, he turned back to face the humans. My people are sending young Zephyrians to study at human schools. They want to learn how to be themselves as completely as you are yourselves. They want to learn how to make gardens where buildings are destroyed and how to give flowers to enemies. Kate stood up too. We would be honored to teach them. And we would be honored to learn, Zixthera said. Because you taught us the most important lesson in the galaxy. Taught us that being truly strong means being truly yourself, no matter what the universe throws at you. The alien commander opened the door and stepped into the hallway. His last words came back to the humans as he walked away. That is the most human thing of all. And now, it is something we want to learn to be ourselves. The door closed softly, leaving the 3 humans alone in the quiet room. Outside the window, ships from many different worlds continued to float peacefully in space. Working together to build a better future for everyone, the war was truly over now, and in its place, something much better was beginning.